The Africa Daily Show, and it's live, of course, on Africa Global Radio, Our Story, Our Growth, Our Future. And for Discussion Zone this afternoon from our headquarters in Accra, Ghana, we've got a customer service conversation to put on. We have the very best person in the country to talk to on this very important subject. A lady of many competencies, but if you're talking about customer service in Ghana, but not just Ghana, the West Africa region, definitely you need to talk to Madam Yvonne Ohui MacCarthy, who is our guest this afternoon. She's the president and head consultant at ICSP. That's the Institute of Customer Service Professionals. She is currently the board chair of the West African Association of Customer Service Professionals. She is the creator and the organizer of the Ghana Customer Service Index, which is a yearly survey which ranks various organizations in the country based on their customer service performance for a year under review. And it also covers 10 different sectors in Ghana. We could go on and on and on, and that was the running joke off air. But she is here, and I'm interested to know how she usually introduces herself in these, contexts. Yvonne, welcome.
Thank you, Prince.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Not bad.
It's a pleasant surprise.
Yes?
Because I only just see you on in January.
Yes, that's when we have the index. Yeah, we unveil it. The guys didn't know better. and it would be lovely to have AGR, Africa Global Radio, as part of the event, in January. So,
and I've never heard of the radio station.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I haven't. So I was actually shocked. I said Africa Global E, okay.
It's
but then I'm glad I came here today.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place. It's got great following as well. So the reach is quite wide.
We have to love
close to a million.
Africa,
close to a million on our Yoba alone.
Great.
So
that's great.
Yeah, it's huge. Anyway, so how do you usually introduce yourself?
Oh, Prince. Okay. It's just Yvonne MacCarthy.
Really?
Yeah. That's it. I mean, Yvonne MacCarthy, but I usually tell people that I eat, breathe, and sleep customer service. I think it ends there. For me, that's what I want you to remember me by. All the other things are, things you acquire with time, but doesn't really mean anything. Unless you're really doing something impactful.
Right.
I want you to remember me by the customer service lady. I'm fine by that.
The customer
Even when
service
people don't
lady.
remember mine, it's the customer service lady. I'm like, it's me.
That's me.
That's fine.
Right. So the Ghana Customer Service Index is the original. It's the very first, right, in the country. Guys, it's the very first index. Very first time anybody thought and actualized the idea of ranking organizations and institutions and businesses and sectors by their customer service performance. And I think it's
really good.
I like that reaction. It's a laudable thing. And our CEO, that's Yasmin, she would be delighted to know it's a woman that did it.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's for whatever it's worth.
She's all for women empowerment.
She's all for women empowerment, so she would be happy to know. And also, both of you are from the African diaspora in the UK, so that would be another point of conversation. Yes. Anyway, so this month, there's a whole week that is dedicated to customer service, and you've been busy.
Yeah.
I've seen your Facebook. The latest was a program that had the vice president as a speaker there.
Yes. It happened yesterday.
Yesterday, 10th.
Yes.
Yes. How was it?
Fantastic.
Right.
It was great. It's also the first for the particular organization, which is DVLE.
Okay.
Right. So they're looking at how they can get in touch more with the people, educate people about road safety and everything driving and transportation, basically. So it was an eye-opener also for me. There were so many things I learned about what the future holds for transportation and all that. So,
That's lovely.
Very, very nice.
Nice. Yvonne, I've heard on various platforms, also because I'm a customer to various, organizations and businesses. I've also seen forums, if you will, on social media where people have an issue with the customer is always right. The customer is king. And for good reason, they have an issue with it for good reason. The reason being, there's some customers that are just too much to handle. You would say, some would argue, they've taken this customer is king, customer is always right, to the very extreme. Is the customer always right? I think that's a good place to start.
That is like one of the questions that I could pretend to be a magician. Like I'll walk into a place and I know they would ask.
Right,
And so
yeah, you can divine it
I
any day.
intentionally answer it even before they ask. And I'm like, how did you know? I'm like, because it's one of the things that particularly service providers have a problem with, because they feel that it's actually out there to allow the customer to get them.
Right, to misbehave.
To misbehave, and it gives the customer a lot of room to, do all sorts of things. But that's really not the reason why it's there. When you're doing customer service well, or you're a service provider and you're offering excellent customer service, a lot has to come from here, the mindset. Okay, so it doesn't matter how beautiful the edifice looks. It doesn't matter how much money the organization has. If you don't have the right mindset as a person, the person serving the customer, you're going to run into trouble. And one of the first mindsets you need to have in order to serve the customer well is that the customer is always right, or the customer is king, or the customer is the kingmaker even. Now we're saying customer is not just king, they select who is going to rule the particular market. So we say that not because the customer is always right, because technically, how is somebody that you haven't met always right? But if you don't also have that mindset, what you're going to do is that immediately the customer comes in, you're giving room for judgment. Okay, let me see who's right at this point. I said this and you said this. I think you're wrong. So you say that, or you have that mindset, so that even when the customer is wrong, you treat them with respect.
So it's not an issue of moral rightness.
No,
That's not what it is.
That's not what it is.
It's just a philosophy to...
Thank you. That's the word.
help you better serve the customer.
That's the word.
Even when they throw tantrums.
Absolutely.
Use that
So,
wisely.
because people say, but what if the customer comes to insult me?
Right.
Yes, the customer is wrong at that point because they don't have the right to come and either physically or verbally abuse you. However, we expect your reaction to be that of somebody who understands why they're serving the customer. So the customer is always right because you're supposed to have that mindset. It helps you to serve the customer better, and it helps you to serve the customer with respect, even when they're wrong.
Wow.
That's why.
Okay. So that's like Richard Akita's quotes, right? Where it's, I think this might be controversial to say, but the current generation does not like proverbs or sayings. They have an issue with sayings and proverbs.
Yes.
They take everything at face value
Literal.
and go on an argument, rant, right?
But I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you why. I've never heard this.
Right.
I worked in the UK for almost 8 years, and I never heard once anyone on that side of the globe complaining about why is the customer always right.
Right.
So I realize also it's a case of employers, right? Not really having the back of their employees. So sometimes they give room for, in quotes, difficult customers to come in and abuse their employees.
Right.
Yeah.
And they feel like, okay, this person is bringing me the money. And so when he comes in and abuses you, it doesn't matter. So I feel like a victim.
Right.
Okay.
Right. If you're going to
Caught
employ me,
between
exactly.
your employer and the customer.
Yes, you're going to employ me, put me in a position where I'm supposed to serve, yet you give the other person who I'm supposed to be serving the opportunity to come and denigrate me. And then you use this phrase, remember the customer is always right. So, of course,
Comes
people
off
would have a problem with it on our part of the world because the employers are not really standing up for employees.
So it's a discrepancy when it comes to orientation.
Yeah.
Like even for the employer, right? But usually we seem to focus more on the employee.
Exactly.
When the employer also needs an orientation from figures like
absolutely.
yourself. Right.
Absolutely. Because then what happens is something that's a philosophy and it's supposed to actually help the situation. We begin to look at it as, this is what the problem is.
Okay. The philosophy that's supposed to save the day becomes
It's
the
actually
problem.
becoming the problem.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what it is.
Which is fodder for more chaos.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yvonne, you've also said the customer is actually the secondary again, the secondary customer to the employee. The employee is the first customer. You've said that before.
I've said that before.
Right? And I think it dovetails into what you just said. Can you explain that philosophy again so employees can understand that their first customer is actually not the one
not
that walks
the one
in.
outside. Yes,
Right,
yes,
but-
yes. So, I mean, it's just like having your body, right? You have internal organs, and these internal organs need to work properly in order for you to be able to get up from your bed and then go to work. So if you have a problem with your kidney, it would show. Right? Somehow
yes.
you might
Right.
bloat, and then people can tell there's something wrong with you. If you have a problem with your heart, it will show.
Right.
If you have a problem with your muscles, you might not be able to get up and go to work. Now, these internal organs can be referred to as the internal customer. Right?
Right.
So if they're unhappy, if they're not being treated properly, if you don't have the right standards for them to follow, and they're just running chaotic in there, what's going to happen is that it will show on your body, which is how they would then go out and treat the customer. So your first responsibility really as an employer is to your employees before the ones that you bring in the money. Because if your engine room is messed up, your car is
Right.
not going to run.
Right.
It's that simple.
Right. That's simple. In your line of work, you've trained various organizations, banks, international organizations. We could go on and on. I don't know how comfortable you are if we mention some, but
I don't mind.
you don't mind, right? You've worked with the British Council, right, and the like. You've worked with the likes of Fidelity Bank, right? In training some of these individuals in these organizations, translating it from an idea into a physical, tangible experience, has it always been easy?
It's never easy. One thing I find also in our part of the world is that we sometimes equate knowledge. Like if someone has knowledge, then we automatically think they can impact. But no, it's not. I can know so much, but then when you put me in a room to try and disseminate that information, I would probably just disseminate it, but I might not impact them.
Right.
So I find that there's a break, okay, between what I know and how to make it realistic for you. So for a very long time, I mean, when I came back from the UK, when I moved down, I came and, my first training, you should have seen me. I had all my slides, all the English, what I would be saying, PowerPoint presentation. I'm prim and proper.
Yeah.
I come in, I'm like, okay, so the definition of customer service. Everybody's looking at me like,
Yeah.
now, mommy, wait,
Are we in
what's
the
wrong with this
lecture
woman? But with time, I realized that you have to look at the group of people that you're even training. So there are times where I go into training with C-suite or B-suite people, and I have to be different.
Right.
And I might go into a training with people who just finished university. And I have to be different there also because their vibe is different. So you talk about music, you have to talk about what they're wearing.
Right.
You even have to dress down a bit so that you can reach them.
Right.
And I think that's the power of communication. So it's not easy impacting knowledge. And I think over the years, I've gotten better. I have to be honest.
Right.
Now I can train people. I walk into a room, I just assess them and I know. I've done a lot of body language studies as well. So I can tell, okay, these people will be a bit easy. These people will be a bit difficult. Okay, that person, I know he's thinking, what is this woman doing here? And
Right.
why are we not working to hit our target?
Right, yeah.
That kind of thing. So I break it down at that point. I've gotten better. But yes, in the beginning, there was definitely a problem in trying to get the theory, which is what definitions, strategies, policies, and all that into the practical world.
Right.
Because I hadn't been in the system for a while also. But now, far better.
Your purview in your capacity as the board chair of the West African Association of Customer Service Professionals, have you noticed, because I have, and I want to know if it's been your experience as well. West Africans are very hospitable, and I think we could even widen it to the entire region of Africa, sub-Saharan Africa. But in my travels, I've noticed even though we are hospitable, it doesn't reflect when it comes to customer service.
How do we describe hospitality though?
Well, we are friendly, we are welcoming, we are accommodating.
No, I think that we are dull. And we're very slow to sometimes speaking the truth. And so, of course, someone will say, oh, that person is a nice person because they don't speak truth to power.
Tolerant? We're
tolerant.
Right.
Yes, is the word, right? And sometimes we're overly tolerant, so I don't buy that whole, we're so hospitable. No, because, yes, I've been through a lot of these pots. And what hospitality should feel like is not what I felt. Because no one is really looking at you and saying, look, welcome home. I hope you had a nice trip. No, next. And I always say this, like, this is the typical, and I'm sorry, Ghanaians don't think I'm bashing. I'm a Ghanaian too, right? Yeah. But when you get to our airports, I don't know what happens with the other nationals, but when you come through the Ghanaian side, next. So you move and come.
Right.
You give them the passport. They don't even say, Mom, can I have your passport? No. You give it to them. Stamp, boom, boom, boom. It's like a fight. Then they tell you, look in there.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. If you get a smile, it's
you're lucky.
Don't you have anything? Don't you have anything?
So you look in the camera. You take the. You can imagine a grown woman standing there looking confused because someone is like, hey.
Right. Yeah.
You look in there. They take the picture. They don't tell you if they're done. They don't tell you go here. They just assume. Then you're okay. Thank you, Cry. You're lucky. So how is that hospitable? It's not. Right. So hospitality is not what.
So we're even failing at our ports, which are
that's where it should matter the most.
Which are gates into the country.
Absolutely. Wow. That's where it should matter the most. I think beyond that, when people talk about the Ghanaian being hospitable, they're talking about maybe personal families. So maybe they've gone to, I don't know, they travel, take a trip somewhere, and the people are so nice in the village.
Your host,
of course.
Your host or the places you visit.
Yes, exactly. So I think those are individual experiences, but on the whole, I wouldn't classify West Africa as being that hospitable because I haven't enjoyed the hospitality when it mattered the most, right in those places. No.
Wow.
Yeah.
What can we do to remedy this? How can we move or translate our tolerance? Because definitely we would need a bit of that to, as you said, the philosophy of the customer being right all the time. When customers throw tantrums, you need to tolerate. There's a bit of tolerance that is necessary. How can we translate that culture, right, or personality as West Africans or even Africans into our professional spaces?
I think we need to stop thinking that when you're calm and very tolerant, then you're a good person. That's what we think. We think that if you're calm and very passive, or submissive, then you're a good person. That's not what it means. It doesn't mean that. And we also need to start understanding the customer is there because we need to serve them. And we are there because the customer exists. If the customer doesn't exist, I don't think any of us will go to work. If your listeners, let's say, for example, you have an app that tells you how many people are logged on now, and you go on there and see only 2 people, I'm telling you, your delivery will be different. Right. Because then the conversation is, what's going on? Are they listening? There's something happened yesterday. So the customer is important. If we start changing the mindset of what the employees have, understanding that the customer is important, you're working because of the customer, they bring in the money, and you're not doing them a favor by being there. If we are able to change that mindset, I think we can then say that, look, at least let's start with the individuals that work in these places. Then we can look at it on a whole. So per organization, what are your customer service goals? What are the visions? Okay, what are the strategies you have put in place for the next 6 months, 1 year to make sure that customer service is done properly? Then we can move to the nationalistic approach, which is probably having a customer service regulator or having the different regulators zoom in on the different organizations that they regulate to see if they're doing customer service right. So there are different angles that we can really look at, but we have to start with us, the individuals.
Right. Which institutions or organizations do you think we've thought over time that when we talk about customer service, we don't think about them? I was very intrigued when you mentioned the immigration officers at the airport, because we don't exactly think of customer service when we think of individuals like that, or the police service. Yes. Right. Especially those who interface with the citizens. Are there other organizations that we've taken for granted? Oh, they don't need customer service. It's only the retailer. It's only the malls. It's
I think
doctors.
It's not a matter of us thinking that we don't need them. Sorry, that they don't need customer service. It's us coming to terms with what the situation is. That some of them are enjoying a monopoly, and no matter what we do, We don't have a choice.
Right.
So if you look at ECG, for example, I'm not saying anything about the service,
Right.
but I'm just saying as an entity,
They've seen some improvement.
Exactly.
Thanks to you.
They are the only organization that provides us with electricity. And so whether or not you think their customer service is good doesn't mean anything. You have nowhere else to
they
go.
can't process it.
They enjoy a
They
monopoly.
can't- yeah,
Where
right,
are you
okay.
going to go? Right? So it's more of us knowing very well that, you know what? If we had another 2 or 3 of you, would have been running. But because we don't, we
Right.
don't have a choice.
Right.
Right? So we
Right.
understand why sometimes certain organizations will not put in so much to make sure that we are happy because they don't have anyone who's competing with them. And they know that no matter what we do, we will have to come back to them. Imagine not going to pay your tax because of bad customer service.
Right.
You go to jail. I can never use that as an
Right,
excuse.
yeah.
I chose not to come here because
Yeah.
they're rude.
Right,
No, you
right.
have to pay your taxes.
Right.
And they know that. And so we are there.
Obeba.
You come.
Walangasa Obeba. My goodness. We're talking customer service, professionalism, and we're talking to the best person, Madame Yvonne Ohui MacCarthy, who's done this and dedicated her life to this beyond a decade, at least. Yvonne, this year, in January, when you unveiled the index for 2022, which sectors came up tops and who impressed you?
Well, I think the online businesses, hospitality, they're constantly within the first 3. And then the ones that I usually look out for, I think banking sector was 4th. It's been some time. So when we're done, I'm done with my
Just
report. I
breathe.
get it out of my head. But banking sector was 4th. We had 11 different sectors. The particular sector that I usually look out for is the public sector.
Right.
Because it has the largest number of employees under it. It employs the most people, And then also they're more like big brother to us. And so it's very important we check what they're doing, right? So for me, those are the ones that are very telling. This year, we also had, we added OMCs, which is the oil marketing companies.
Right.
Those, not the ones that distribute the oil, but those that are Shell,
Our pumps.
oil,
The
your pumps,
right.
all right, your retail. So we added that also. And yes, I think we've had a fluctuation. We usually have movements. One of the things that has been a trend that I would say I've noticed is when you look at the organizations that are usually run by foreigners, it's such a sad observation. They tend to do very well. So hospitality is always moving between first 3. And when you check these different organizations and you go and check who's managing
The
them,
management is always
you realize that
outsourced,
yes,
if you will.
is being managed by people from outside. And so that's a bit worrying. And then when you come to those that were like the bottom 3, where you're having your public sector, you're having your telcos, you also realize that they're heavily managed mostly by locals. And so then it tells you something.
Right.
It tells you something.
Overall, Ghana scored, is it a C+?
Yeah.
For 2022.
Yeah.
C+, and that was 69.37.
Yeah.
Right? And compared to 2021, 66.26, that was a C+ as well. And 2020 was 65.37%, and that was a C.
Yeah.
So an improvement in 2021 per the index, but even though the percentage moved, the mark is still a C+.
It's still
maintained.
C. I mean, yeah, we should at least. This is the 6th year. This year will be so when we do the index in 2024, that will be the 6th one. We're hoping that we would have moved from the CCC because that's where we fluctuate. It's
Right,
up
yeah.
and down, and it will be best for us to be B or A. And to see those at the bottom give a shake to those who usually sit at the top. But yeah, that being said, you can only say that you've improved because you can see the figure has moved up a bit.
The figures moved. Can this also be addressed from the domestic setting?
Explain that a bit.
Can we have a situation where parents, is there a way that parents can inculcate into...
Okay, you mean from home?
Yeah.
Why
Or
not?
educational sector is can we remedy it?
Definitely. For our educational sector, that's where it's actually supposed to start. And you see, customer service is not, sometimes people think it's so technical. It really isn't. It's just the basic things in life, right? Opening the door for somebody when they're right behind you, saying thank you, saying please to somebody, using the right tone, the right choice of words, your body language. These are basic things in your home.
Irrespective of how you're feeling that day.
Exactly. It's like, Prince, let me give you an example. So I'm in my house and someone says, oh, I keep saying to people, my house is always open. You can come and visit me. Come on Saturday. Right. So I wake up on Saturday not feeling too good. And then I realize these people are, hey, they're there. What am I doing? Am I going to now say, it's Saturday, I'm not feeling too good. I open the door, excuse me. I know I asked you to come, but I'm not feeling like it. Can you go back? I'll never do that. I would quickly go, hey, let me just put things in order. Let me see there are drinks in the fridge. I'll open the door. Oh, hello. Even if I don't feel like smiling, I say, hello, how are you? Have unnecessary conversations. Why? Because I'm the host. I'm being hospitable.
Right.
So that's what happens when you run a business or you serve people. You always have to have that open arm or open door policy where regardless of what's happening to you, that's supposed to be in the back office. It's behind the curtain.
Right.
But once you start serving the customer, it's lights, camera, action. And these are the little things that, yes, if you're taught at home, and you inculcate or you infuse that into the way you do things every day, when you start working, people will definitely look at you and say, oh, there's something different about this person, right? It's because of the way they were brought up.
Right.
So you meet people who have never been through any customer service training, but they're pleasant. They know how to be very receptive. They're very patient. They can empathize with people. They think critically. And you meet those that have gone to all the trainings in this world. Right. And they still can't do the right thing.
So there's a divide when it's not it's not a training that you've received from a place of nature.
When it's a part of you.
Right. Yeah.
It's an attitude.
Yeah.
Right? Customer service is an attitude.
Right.
Yes.
Right. My final question, and then my colleagues will come in. Some people feel they are living a pretense when I'm not feeling too good today, but I have to smile and I have to be nice. My boss has upset me. I've not been paid. The customer was behaving an ASS. But I have to smile. I have to be warm. And it becomes, for them, Ghanaians are very religious. So for them, it becomes, for a lot of us, it becomes a matter of lying and telling the truth, right? This is how I'm feeling. I'm having a rough day. How am I supposed to be here smiling, right? How do you respond to that?
You're not lying. You're sacrificing for the customer. You're not telling a lie. Okay, I'm not happy, but I'm here to work. Because whether or not you like it, at the end of the month, you might take your salary.
Yeah.
No one goes and says, Tuesday, you weren't feeling too well. Let's take that out. It doesn't happen.
Right. Thankfully.
Exactly. So,
But Yvonne, I love this word you use, sacrifice.
Yeah, you're not lying.
Again, we are religious people, so sacrifice is a good word to use.
Yeah, but when it comes to customer service, we don't, what is sacrifice? Are we from the same mother? But yeah, when it comes to customer service, then it's a problem. But really and truly, that's what service is all about. Service is sacrificing. And you will not always be okay. I know that there are extreme situations. Let's just say somebody's at the front desk and they received a call that maybe their mom, who is very ill, is in critical condition. Of course, at that very moment, I can understand that someone might walk in and the person might panic and go, oh, I'm not feeling too well. I get that. That's human nature. But you have people who every day, I have a headache. It's a constant thing. That is their excuse for not doing the right thing. It cannot be your excuse because every job has its own occupational hazard. And for your job, if you're a frontliner or you serve the customer face to face, you know what it means. When it's time to serve the customer, it's lights, camera, action.
Right.
If you think you're in a position where you're feeling so down that you can't serve a customer, let your manager know. Because it's not good enough for you to sit there, serve the customer the wrong way, and then later you're like, but I'm not feeling well.
Right.
That if you're not feeling well, stay where I don't see you, because I don't want to know. The customer most customers would never ask you, are you okay?
Right.
It's just the same way most people will not ask the customer, I see you're not smiling. Is everything okay? Or I see that you look a bit gloomy. And so they won't ask you. You won't ask them. Do your job.
Manak, Sandra.
Yeah. Well, so this one, they're going to be follow-up though.
Yeah,
follow-up
sure.
questions. So are there any instances or points where you say that the customer has gone overboard?
Absolutely. They go overboard all the time.
That kind of instance where it's extreme, and how do you handle that?
Right. So for some of the clients that I consult with, I remember there was a client who had, they do deliveries, right? And when I started the training, apparently there was a lot of things going on. So they opened up. The people there will open up when they see their managers coming. Then they will right? They
Because you're
opened
the
up
bridge between
exactly.
the two, right?
So they told me that when they go to the houses and they're doing the delivery, there was one particular customer, I don't know, but I felt that he had a personality disorder. Sometimes he's nice, sometimes he's not.
Right.
But when they get in, he has a dog. And they would have to beg this man, please change the dog. So they won't do anything to come. And I'm talking, they said, Madam, if you
big
see
dog.
the dog,
Right.
and you can tell the dog wants to chew us, they would have to beg him several times. He would put the dog away. But one time, he had tried it like 3 times. They go in, as they're fixing the furniture, he takes his gun. He used to work with national security,
Right.
apparently, and then he clocks it, and then he puts it there. And these boys said, we sweat the whole time. Like the
But-
AC is
right,
on.
yeah, but
Every 2 minutes, we're looking
Your life
at
is
him.
on the line.
So when they told me, I
As
said,
it
no,
were.
this can't happen. I have to
Right.
tell your management. They
Yeah.
said, no, he buys a lot. And I said, no, but that can't be the reason. So when I spoke to him, I said, but you're a customer service person. I said, yes, but that doesn't mean that someone should lose their life. If your customer has a problem, your customer goes overboard, you should be able to identify people have personality disorders
Right.
and understand the same your employees can have personality disorders, your customers can also fall in that same category. So if they come and they're being overly abusive, you can tell that they have no reason for being abusive. They're cussing people out. They want to verbally or physically abuse people. You as a company should have a policy, because when they hit the person, it goes beyond your company policy.
Right, yeah,
That's
totally.
that goes to police,
Yeah.
right? But then when they're verbally abusing them, you should have a policy that explains clearly to the customer, we reserve the right to stop serving you if you continue to denigrate our people, because of course we value them.
Right.
And that should be one of the policies. If you have that and customers are aware, they will put an end to that. Because I know one of my clients, I said to them, you can't go around telling every single person. So put it in like a little poster, like a warning thing. And I mean, don't go out and say, we will not serve you, but let them understand you are important to us.
Right.
Our employees are also important to us.
Exactly.
So at no point would we allow or accept anybody, whether you or our employee, denigrating each other. When that happens, we either let that person go, and we can also decide not to serve you. And once that happened, people,
Shut up.
they're in check, right? So sometimes customers know, and they will stand on this whole, I'm always right, and come and abuse you. Abuse is not accepted, shouldn't be allowed, right? And every organization should have a proper pathway of how they want to deal with abusive customers. And sometimes don't be afraid to let these, in quotes, troublesome customers go. Because when they walk into your organization, they are throwing a tantrum, they are saying all sorts. They are disrupting your business. Right? So
Right.
it's okay. Once you evaluate the situation and realize that, look, even if you're bringing me billions, I think your attitude, your behavior doesn't sit with our principles or our values as an organization. And we can't continue to let you do that to our employees and our other customers. So at this point, we'll let you go. It's fair.
So that would be a collaboration between the PR department and the customer service
Absolutely,
department.
yeah.
Right? Because it has to be said, but it has to be said in a sense.
In a very, and you have to explain to the person. And sometimes when it happens once, you have to let them understand once, twice. You give people the opportunity to change. Unless it's very drastic. Maybe they're walking with a gun. That there's no opportunity to change nothing. We're going straight to the police station. Yeah.
Sandra.
Thank you.
I learned so much. So my question might be a bit far off, but
That's okay.
My experience with hospitals has been on and off. Yeah, so a basic clinic, for example, in Accra, Ghana, usually, I wouldn't say all of them because I haven't been to all, but there's this common behavior, especially from nurses towards patients. And it's not so nice because I've witnessed some, and aside one company, which I'm not going to mention, the worst experience I've had. And it wasn't even to me, to an older man, a way older man. So what does your institute, I don't know how you do it. I don't know if you go to companies to educate them, but you include hospitals, institutions like hospitals.
Yes. So customer service is everywhere. I can't think of, give me any sector and I'll tell you why customer service is important. So it's everywhere, particularly for those that are offering some type of relief to the human, right? So hospitals, these hospitality organizations. In fact, we all know, sometimes I don't want us to keep going on because then it looks like, oh, these people are talking about us. I don't know if you remember this, Prince. I think about 3 years ago, during the index, we had somebody who heads the medical something. He put up his hand because then I was talking about the nurses and, why it's important for them to, we understand the situation, but once you've decided that this is what you're going to do and this is your call,
you need to
there's certain things you need to, you need to understand. That's the word. So I said all this and then the guy was like, no, you're not trying to understand how we are suffering. And I said, hey, then the whole conversation made it seem like these people are suffering. You shouldn't even say that about them. But why shouldn't I say that about them? They wake up every morning, put on a dress, giving us the impression they are going to serve. And then you get that most people are not serving. Right. That being said, you have amazing nurses or amazing healthcare professionals out there who are doing what they're supposed to do. So hospitals actually should be the number one because healing now is very therapeutic. It's not the injection that you give the person, it's how you give the injection. It's not so much the disease or what they're walking away with, but sometimes it's even how you tell them the type of disease they have can kill them, So people's behavior has become more important now in their healing than it was before. So if you're going to inject me and you do some skirmishes, you're shaking, I'm not going to take that injection.
Because in my head, a dartboard.
Exactly. Some people do it on purpose. They will shake the syringe and take it up and draw something.
So you're being also dramatic.
You feel like, hey, this one you're going to inject my bone.
You're in a hospital or a science lab.
Exactly. Thank you. But someone too will come and say, oh, hi, don't worry, just look there, don't worry, come on. Because I know myself, so many times I've walked into labs and I've acted the fool just because of the way the person is holding the, I'm like, hey boss, please relax. Ow, but madam, you're a grown woman. So this is not about grownness, please.
Forget.
Bring the thing down a bit. So I said, yes, you have to be very therapeutic. Go slow, don't even be having a conversation. Hey, where do you mean to me?
And I feel like it's a big issue here because I usually say that we find a lot of people in professions simply because they are desperate to make money.
Absolutely.
And there are certain professions I feel like you shouldn't step in if you don't have the patience to
and
treat
the passion.
People. Yeah.
And the passion.
And it's the police sector, nurses or doctors, and there was one that I just forgot. These one and teachers,
even teachers,
So if you don't have the patience, because some of the things I've seen from these people, it's sad. And we've all been students here in Ghana. We all know people some teachers who were not so patient with us or our friends, and eventually even said very negative stuff to them. Do you? I want to find out if your institute is considering or has taken an initiative to educate these institutions in how they recruit people. Maybe there's a thing that they need to look out for to see if this person is empathetic enough to handle clients or customers before they take them into the profession. Because some of the people in certain, it's a no-no.
Sandra, it's interesting you say this because it's one of the things I've been saying for years, that we have a lot of square pegs in round holes, right? There are people working in sectors that they don't even have the love for.
Right.
So somebody is in nursing now, not because they wanted to be there, it's because they wanted to do medicine and it didn't work. Then they take a step down to pharmacy and then they're like, okay, then let me just do nursing. But it's not a third grade job.
Right.
Yeah. Every job is a first grade job and you have to do it to the best of your ability. Whether you're doing waste management or you're sweeping the street, it doesn't matter. Right? So that's one of the problems where people feel that, oh, if you did it this way and it didn't work, let's go here. And then that becomes like a substitute. So obviously, if I feel like I'm doing a substitute job How do I do it? I won't do it to the best of my ability because number one, I'm not even passionate about it. My parents probably forced me. If you don't do medicine, I'm not paying your fees. So you try to fit in there and it still doesn't work. Those that genuinely want to be there and care about people, they are the ones that you can call them 8 days in a week. Even though we know we have 7 days in a week, you can call them 8 days in a week and they'll show up because they're passionate about it. So that's one area that I always advocate for and I talk about. And I even encourage parents, stop pushing your children to do things they don't love. Like, just stop it. You know, you have a child today, you don't know who they're going to be. Hey, my doctor. And you keep saying it and saying it and saying it until the child has to live that life, even when it's not them. So when you see people who are passionate about their job, customer service is never a problem for them because they love what they're doing. So naturally, they'll smile at you. They want to make sure that you're happy. They want to leave you with an experience that you never forget about.
One of them is the gentleman behind you.
Right.
Yeah.
Production head and studio manager here.
Okay.
Emmanuel Kennedy.
Yes.
Always happy, always bubbly, smiling.
Very important. So, what we do now, you were asking if I help with recruitment. Part of the solution that I offer to some clients, if they want it, is let me sit on your panel when you're recruiting. I can decide not to talk, but let me sit there because I can tell you who would be good and who wouldn't. It doesn't mean that if I sit there, I know the person's behavior through and through. But there are certain things, I read body language a lot. I can tell when a CV is just, this is really cooked. You know, there are people put, exactly. You can tell that you have a chat GPT-fied CV. So you can tell straight away, CV looks good, but the person, when you ask them customer service scenario-based questions, they're giving you wrong answers and all that. You can tell straight away, this person won't work. Or there are instances where you can tell this person doesn't seem to know, but they have the right attitude. And so they're trainable. Right? And we can mold them somehow. All these things fall in place. So sometimes I sit on the panel and then help my clients recruit the right people.
Okay.
Right.
She's the board chair for the West African Association of Customer Service Professionals, and she is also the founder and the lead consultant at the Institute of Customer Service Professionals. She is Madam Yvonne Ohui MacCarthy, and she is the one who put out the very first, the premier Ghana Customer Service Index to rank various bodies, organizations, institutions, and businesses per their customer service performance for a year under review. 2022, it was unveiled in January, as per usual.
Yeah.
Right? So 2023 will be in January 2024.
Yes.
Looking back at 2023. How is it looking like right now? Because you have a website where we can go and lodge our complaints, guys.
Yes.
There's a website where, did you know? Right. So there's a customer service website that you can go on and just rant.
I need to go there.
Yes.
Right?
That's the biggest challenge throughout the year for us because I always tell people when I see people complaining on Facebook, I quickly go and visit www.ghanacsi.org. You know, but I think we have a problem with really taking time out to air out our grievances at the right places. We want to be on social media and people would complain. And I have people come to me and also say, Yvonne, no, because of the voice that you have, I think you should be putting these people on blast. I said, no, my brand is not there to break down someone's business. I'll support them at the back and you'd see that they're doing well. And when you ask them, they'll tell you, oh, we're working with a consultant. But I know how difficult it is to build a brand. I go and talk about certain sectors and you'll just cut my line. How am I doing business, you know? But that apart, I mean, my focus is not to destroy people's business or to vilify them. The focus is, this is what people are saying about you. This is what the trends are in customer service. This is how we can better ourselves. This is your customized report, so I can give you your own data as well per whatever sector you're in. And that's really the aim. But I realized people don't like to take the survey. So I literally now have a team. Right. Who have to be calling people and
I think it's because Ghanaians we need to be disabused of the idea that if you channel your grievance through the right medium, right, it will be addressed. Yes. We've lived in a country where people have voiced their grievances and some have not seen much done. Yes. So it's become ingrained in our minds that when you complain through the right channels, nothing will be done. But things are improving.
I will give you an example, and I mean I'm not being biased or anything. I don't know what the results are going to be like for next year. But DVLA is a typical example of an organization that is listening.
Right.
I'm telling you, these people every year they would ask me for a customized report. Sometimes I'm like, hey, it's almost
And
the
every
same
year
thing. They're
they
like,
bring
I want it. They'll
they
bring
bring
somebody.
two
They
reps.
want. They really want to know.
They take
And
this
honestly,
seriously.
when we went to the conference yesterday, it just clicked.
Wow.
I said, no, these people are listening.
Wow.
Because they're changing things, and you should try and go to their offices.
I've been there. Now they've partitioned all these offices.
You can see the difference.
Yeah.
Right. So when you speak, yes, you might not have a mouthpiece at the time that you speak, but put the information through the GCSI website. We will collect it, we'll analyze it, we'll put the twist and rank it, and then we'll leave it to the world. So they know who is doing what in what sector. And you get heard.
Right.
You do get heard because I've seen organizations do better. I've seen some of them come back to me and say, oh, madam, we saw you on TV and you said we did this. So can you explain to us? I said, yeah, I can explain. I explain to them. They get it.
Right.
They go and they change. So things will get better, but you have to help us. Give us the information.
Right.
And let's work with that.
Right. Yvonne, my last question to
Yes.
you. I know you're on a tight schedule. E-commerce was the best performing for last year,
Yes.
2022. But e-commerce is a place where human and machines interface,
Mix.
right?
Yes.
Is there something to be learned there? Can the other sectors learn something from there? Is it the machines? Do we need to take humans away?
No, we can't.
Like what's making e-commerce
I
so
think,
good on customer service?
I think after Corona, during the lockdown and a lot of businesses just closing down, there was no other channel
Right.
for business to be done than to put up apps and communicate with the
Right.
people because you couldn't go and do it face to face. And so they became much more popular then. And it hasn't, I mean, their popularity hasn't
It's
died
not
down.
dwindled,
Exactly. It hasn't dwindled. I think they score high because of the convenience. Whatever it is what you're doing with an e-commerce organization is you don't have to go there. The fact that you can, if you have
The convenience.
Yes, if you have data,
Right.
and
Yeah.
data that and then you have connection that is really fast
Right.
and quick. You just order and you get. So from bricks and mortar to click and order, I think people love the click and order because of the convenience.
Right.
I don't have to come there, waste money getting in a car. I can see what I like, choose it, and then you bring it to me. And I think they're winning more on convenience because, to be fair, you don't really have to walk into their offices. Most of them just have warehouses.
Right.
And so what you judge them with is their websites. And look, with a website, if you have a very good designer, you can put together a fabulous or fantastic website that works very well. And that would be judged just like someone having a building, right? A building that has been painted with the chairs and everything seated, because that's their, what word should I even use? That is what they call their office,
Right.
the website.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
their building
Yeah.
or their edifice.
Right.
Whereas if it's a bank that you're running, I have to physically come there. So we're talking about my time. We're talking about money being spent. We're talking about me coming there, meeting people who are inappropriately dressed, which would also affect the way I rate your
Right.
organization.
Right.
So for them, a lot of things are not being considered in judging them. It's because of also the way their business is done.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Sandra, you have a concern?
Oh, okay. So last week I believe there was an awards for the customer service excellence awards night, gala night. I don't know.
Oh,
if
yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
The one at the Labadi Beach.
Yes,
Yeah.
please. Yeah. So is it something that is in collaboration with what you do? Or
The ICSP.
Yeah.
I was there, but those awards are more for people in the tourism sector.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
Right,
so it was more for tourism.
Yvonne's is broader. It looks at
Mine is
11
every
sectors
11.
now. Right.
Yes, now
Yeah.
11.
Right.
So that focus more on tourism.
And there is an award ceremony as part of the unveiling of the index
Yes.
every year as well. So DVLA has been winning some awards.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Every year for like 3 years.
I
now,
think
right?
last year
Yeah.
they were second.
Right.
Yes, after Ghana Standards Authority.
Right.
And I saw the look on their face like no. But
You should experience it. We'll talk to our CEO. It would be lovely to experience
I'd love to partner, yeah.
AGR experience, the
Yeah.
Ghana Customer Service Index.
absolutely.
And then we can collaborate and see what we can do to help better the customer service experience in Ghana. That would be our conversation on customer service today with Madam Yvonne Ohui MacCarthy. How would you rate our customer service from the very door?
Oh, why did you ask me? No, I can't be honest. But
Oh,
I go
you
to
have
church.
to be honest.
I go to church.
Be honest.
Well, your front line, first of all, it's quite difficult to tell when you're coming here that there's a radio station here, because I think your thing is at the bottom, and there was a car park right there, so I didn't know where I was going. And I had to honk a bit before someone came to open me. Again, it's a radio, it's a public place, right? So
we won't take the fall for the gate guy, the security man. We
you
won't.
take it.
That's not AGR.
Oh, okay, so he's
So it's a
AGR
complex,
starts
right? So it's a complex,
right. Okay,
and we are part of the complex.
Fantastic. Okay, then.
Hallelujah. We just clinched the
Okay,
gate.
so then, because Prince, I'm always advocating, train your security people,
Right.
make sure they're properly
Workspace.
dressed.
This is your bane, not ours.
Not okay. I get that.
We just rated them without the
I get that. But I think for mostly radio stations don't have much to welcome people with. Like, I don't even know how to explain that. If you walk into a bank,
Was Sandra nice to you?
Oh, she was.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, she's very
Always
pleasant,
smiling,
so
yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah.
You're okay. You're okay.
Lovely.
But yeah, it's fine.
Lovely.
We'll look at, usually when you walk into a place, you want to see the edifice, what the place looks like. Everything's fine. So
Right.
I don't have a problem. But I would only maybe start seeing problems if I spend more time with you.
Right.
So if you want me to, unless maybe there's nothing, right? So that's fine.
Okay.
I feel like it's really good. I've learned so much.
She's a knowledge tower. Yeah, and she's
And
pleasant too.
to be honest, I did not know that there was, an institute like that. That. So I understand when, from the perspective she gave, where she was like, when you see someone complaining on social media, because they feel like that's the only place
They can go.
be heard.
Yes.
And really, the spirit on social media when people do that is to vilify and to destroy,
Yes.
right? Meanwhile, we need the business.
Yeah.
It's
right?
more like
It's
a
like
mob.
chicken and bile. You need to be very careful with,
you take
taking the
it
bile
out.
off the meat.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm very excited about this. I really desire that this really expands
It
in
will.
all sectors,
It will.
like every part of the region. So I don't even want to put as customer service. Our relation with people, our hospitality, truly improves, and not just the fake niceness.
Yeah, absolutely. So where we're looking more at the mindset change and having a more nationalistic approach towards it, not just private sector trying to be nice because they make money by being nice.
Right.
But is your institute also international? Is it just Ghanaian?
International, I think if you have an online learning platform, you're international.
And she's the board chair for the West African, sub-region.
I'll tell you what we did now. The individual, after Corona, and I realized it worked. I didn't know it would work. But for individual enrollment, say for example, you want to take a course, unless you're going to pay me so much to sit with you and teach you, everything is online. So you register online, you have access to the online learning platforms. You take your assessment, you pass, we give you the certificate. You don't have to interface with me unless there are topics that you're not too sure of and you'd like me to explain.
Right.
Other than that, it's online.
Right.
Courses to be taken by individuals, institutions.
Yes, but if it's an
and,
organization,
Right.
we come in and then we assess the organization and we do the training face to face.
The Institute of Customer Service Professionals website. All right, Yvonne, thank you once again.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Lovely to see you again, and you sharing your time and your knowledge with us. I mean, it's been a great blessing. All right, we're going to play some music, and then we'll carry on with the rest of the show as we drop